Good morning, students. My name is P. Sridevi, working as Head of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Section, Government Polytechnic Warangal. So, my subject is for Diploma Second Sem Electrical students, Electrical Engineering and Electronic Devices. As per C18 curriculum, the subject code is 18EE205C. So in this chapter, in this subject, we are having 6 units. In the first 3 units, we covered the topics related to the magnetic effect of electric current, magnetic circuits, and electromagnetic induction. And in the fourth unit, we are discussing about electrostatics and capacitance. So, what is electrostatics? Electrostatics is nothing but we can say the electricity is two different types: static electricity and dynamic electricity. So, electricity which is at rest is known as static electricity, and electricity which is in motion is known as dynamic electricity. Electricity which is in motion is known as dynamic electricity. So, the study of science which deals with the electricity at rest, electricity at rest is known as static electricity. So, and the capacitance is nothing but it is a device which is used to store the electric charge. So, the branch of science which deals with study of electricity at rest, or we can say study of static electricity, is known as electrostatics. Is known as electrostatics. Now, in this lesson, we will discuss about types and uses of capacitors and capacitors connected in series and parallel. But in the previous lessons, we discussed about how a static electricity can be formed, electricity at rest, how it can be developed. Some basics about electrostatics. In the entire universe, the every object actually is neutral in state. See, if you keep a pen here, it won't move here and there. It will be like that only. The place where you kept it will be in that place only. Unless otherwise some external force is acting on it. There is no internal energy. It cannot be moved from internal energy through internal energy. Okay, if external force is applied, then only it can move. But if you remove some electrons from that object, from the pen or whatever it may be, it gains positive charge. Or if we add some electrons to that object, it gains negative charge. So the charged object always tries to do some work. It tries to attract other charged objects. So the charged object means electricity at rest. It is not at all moving, but it is having some charge. So that is known as static electricity. So for based on the static electricity, a scientist named Coulomb, he discovered two different laws. Coulomb's first law of electrostatics and Coulomb's second law of electrostatics, based on which the like charges repel each other, whereas unlike charges attract each other. And the force of attraction or repulsion between any two charged objects is directly proportional to the product of their charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Square of the distance between them. Now, based on that, we are having some terms electric field strength, like that. Now, in the previous class, we discussed about dielectric strength, dielectric constant, capacitance, and formula of a capacitor. Formula of a capacitor. So, what is the dielectric strength? What is the dielectric strength? See, dielectric means insulating. Dielectric material means insulating material. So, as per related to the electrical engineering field, we are using three different types of materials: conducting materials, insulating materials, and semiconducting materials. Now, the insulating materials are also known as dielectric materials. Now, what is the dielectric strength of dielectric material? So, what is the normal function of a dielectric material? It should oppose the flow of electrons. Okay. Suppose here we are having dielectric material. We are giving a supply like this. After reaching this point, it doesn't allow the electrons to pass through this side. All the electrons are accumulated on this plate. On this, here, the conducting plate. After that, the dielectric material is there. So, up to what extent the charge will be accumulated on the plate, conducting plate? Because after the conducting plate, here is the insulating material, dielectric material. It doesn't allow electrons to pass through it. So when we are applying more and more potential, more and more charge will be accumulated. A stage will come when the charge cannot be accumulated. That much of the insulating material cannot bear that much of pressure, and it cannot stop the electrons further. It breaks down and it loses all its insulating properties, and hence conduction takes place. So, without losing insulating properties, up to what maximum voltage the dielectric material can withstand, that voltage is known as dielectric strength of that dielectric material. So, the maximum voltage up to which a dielectric material can withstand without losing its insulating properties is known as dielectric strength of that particular dielectric material. So, it is generally measured in kilovolts per mm. So, for so and so thickness, this much of voltage is the maximum voltage. So, it is also known as avalanche breakdown voltage. Now, the next term is dielectric constant. So, what is a dielectric constant? It is nothing but ratio of capacitance of a capacitor with a dielectric material to the ratio of capacitance of a capacitor with vacuum as the dielectric material. See, what is the capacitor? First of all, two conducting plates separated by a dielectric material. Two conducting plates separated by a dielectric material. So then what happens if you give the supply across the plates? Charge will be accumulated on both the plates. But when the voltage increases, after certain value, the charge accumulating on the plates cannot withstand that much of pressure, the insulating material. It breaks down and it allows electrons to pass through it. It means the voltage at which the dielectric material loses its insulating properties is known as breakdown voltage. So, This insulating material between the plates, if it is the dielectric material is changing, the capacitance of a capacitor also changes. So now dielectric constant means the capacitance of a capacitor with some dielectric material. Okay, the ratio of capacitance of a capacitor with some dielectric material to the ratio of capacitance of a capacitor with vacuum as the dielectric material. That ratio is known as dielectric constant, which is denoted by the symbol K. And it is also, so we can't say it is measured because ratio of two similar quantities is equal to 1. It has no units. The dielectric constant has no units. Okay. Now next one is the capacitance. The value of the capacitor is measured by term capacitance. So what is the capacitance of a capacitor? Like that. So the capacitor is nothing but, the capacitor is a device which is used to store the electric charge. Okay. And it consists of two conducting plates, parallel plates, separated by a dielectric material. And its value is measured in Faradays. And it is denoted by the symbol C. It is denoted by the symbol C. Hence, it is having two parallel plates. It is also known as parallel plate capacitor. Parallel plate capacitor. Now, formula for a capacitor. What is the formula to calculate the value of the capacitor is? So, any value can be measured by using two different types of variables. These variables are two types. That values are variables and constants. So, C is equal to Q by V. Charge accumulated on the plates, the ratio of charge accumulated on the plates to the potential applied across the plates. C is equal to Q by V. And capacitance can also be defined as, the capacitance of a capacitor is equal to that charge accumulated on the plates when a unit potential is applied across the plates. When you apply 1 volt potential across the plates, some charge is accumulated on the plates. That charge is equal to capacitance of the capacitor. So the formula for the capacitor is in terms of variables and in terms of constants. So in terms of variables means C is equal to Q by V. And in terms of constants means C is equal to epsilon A by D. Epsilon A by D. Where epsilon is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R. A by D. Where epsilon naught is nothing but absolute permittivity. And epsilon R is relative permittivity of the media. And A is the cross-sectional area of the plates, both the plates. And D is the distance between the plates. D is the distance between the plates. Here all these values are constants. Once the capacitor is manufactured, area of the plate is constant. Distance between the plate is also fixed. The dielectric used between the plates is also fixed. As the dielectric is fixed, the permittivity is also fixed. So all these values are known as constants. So this is the formula in terms of constants. C is equal to epsilon A by D. Suppose if you use C is equal to Q by V, here these two values are variables. If you are changing the voltage across the plates, charge accumulated on the plates also changes. But the ratio of Q by V is always constant. It is nothing but capacitance of the capacitor. So these are the topics we discussed in the previous lesson. Now in this today's lesson, we will discuss the different types of capacitors and what are the uses of capacitors and what happens to the total capacitance if capacitors are connected in series, and what happens to the total capacitance if capacitors are connected in parallel. So first topic is types of capacitors. See here, the parallel plate capacitance is given by C is equal to epsilon naught epsilon R A by D. C equal to parallel plate capacitance, epsilon R equal to dielectric constant of the material, epsilon naught equal to dielectric constant of free space or vacuum, and capital A is equal to area of the plates, and small d is equal to distance between the two plates. Now here types of capacitors, some different types are given here. So first of all, the capacitors are basically classified into two groups. First, broadly, fixed capacitors and variable capacitors. Fixed capacitors and variable. The capacitor whose value cannot be changed. Such capacitors are known as fixed capacitors, and capacitors whose value can be changed with the help of a trimmer or adjustable tuner, like that. If you change the fan regulator, like that, gang box we will call it as tuner, then such capacitors are known as variable capacitors. Okay. But the most important group is fixed capacitors only. Okay. The fixed capacitors are named different types because the capacitor mainly consists of two conducting materials separated by a dielectric material. Based on the dielectric material used, the capacitors are classified into different types. Based on the dielectric, the capacitor is named on that only. If the ceramic is used as the dielectric material, if the ceramic is used as the dielectric material between the two plates of a capacitor, then it is known as ceramic capacitors. A film or a paper is used as the dielectric material, then it is used as the film or paper capacitors. Aluminium, tantalum and niobium electrolytic capacitors are named after the material used as the anode and the construction of cathode. See here, the capacitors are classified into non-polarized capacitors, polarized capacitors. Means polarized means they are having some plus and minus terminals. We have to use the particular terminals only as the positive and negative. Non-polarized means we can use in any direction. Okay. So in non-polarized capacitors, we are having vacuum capacitors, air capacitors, glass capacitors and silicium capacitors, and ceramic capacitors, film capacitors. All these are known as non-polarized capacitors. In polarized capacitors, we are having electrolytic capacitors and supercapacitors. Electrolytic capacitors and supercap. So electrolytic means a liquid solution. Electrolytic solution is used as the dielectric material. Aluminium electrolytic capacitor, tantalum electrolytic capacitor, niobium electrolytic capacitors. Okay, they are also wet capacitors. Some liquid is used as the dielectric material. And supercapacitors. See, supercapacitor, double layer capacitors or hybrid capacitors, they can also known as. So these supercapacitors are used to store the electric charge in higher levels. So they are used instead of batteries also. So these supercapacitors are the alternative source for the batteries. What is the function of battery? So battery we are using as a backup whenever we power mana electricity board supplies switch goes off. It is used as the alternative source for the supply battery. See, we are using batteries in almost vehicles, mobiles, in all remote or wherever we are using current operations, we are using batteries only. Television remotes, mobiles, computers, okay, like that, inverters, UPS, etc. So instead of batteries, the batteries needs a lot of maintenance. So we are using supercapacitors also. So the supercapacitors are also alternative source for batteries. So they act like a backup supply, emergency services. So these are polarized capacitors and non-polarized capacitors. These battery supercapacitors and electrolytic capacitors, they comes under polarized capacitors. See, so broadly capacitors are film capacitors, ceramic capacitors, paper capacitors, electrolytic capacitors, supercapacitors, vacuum capacitors, air capacitors, glass capacitors, mica capacitors. So all these different names are given based on the dielectric material used between the plates. If a film is used as the dielectric material between the plates, it is a film capacitor. Ceramic used as the dielectric material, ceramic capacitors. Paper is used as the dielectric material, paper capacitors. If aluminum, tantalum and niobium like electrolytes are used as the dielectric material, then they are electrolytic solution capacitors. Okay. So if glass is used as the dielectric material, glass capacitors, like that. So these electrolytic capacitors are three different types. Aluminum electrolytic capacitor, tantalum electrolytic capacitor and niobium electrolytic capacitor. So these are the different types of capacitors. Now super in this some brief description is given that supercapacitors have the highest capacitance density because they are double layered capacitors. Hence they are used to store the charge. Okay. And electrolytic capacitors have lesser capacitance density than supercapacitors. When compared with super, they are having less capacitance, but when compared with normal capacitors, they are having highest capacitance. Ceramic capacitors have higher capacitance value given in compared with other, but that is less than the electrolytic and supercapacitors. Okay, so like the highest category is supercapacitors. Hierarchy: first supercapacitors, then electrolytic, then ceramic, then film. So here it is shown that this arrow mark indicates that electrolytic variable capacitors. Okay. Here the plus minus symbol indicates that they are the electrolytic capacitors. Because electrolytic capacitors are having positive and negative. Normal capacitors, no differentiation between the any can be used as the positive and other can be used as the negative. Now, of course, we discussed the different types of capacitors. But what are the applications of capacitors? Where we are using the capacitors? Okay, that we'll discuss now. See, the one of the basic standard functioning of a capacitor is nothing but the current through the capacitor is always leads with respect to the applied voltage. The current through the capacitor always leads with respect to the applied voltage. We have to note down this thing, and the capacitive reactance is given by 1 by 2 pi Fc. 1 by 2 pi Fc. If F is very high, the capacitance is very high, the capacitance value decreases and it acts like a short circuit. If F is 0, So the capacitance value is very high, then it acts like a open circuit. It acts like a open circuit. So because of this property, based on the frequency, the capacitor acts like a open circuit or short circuit. Okay. Based on these two values, it can be used in radio circuits, TV circuits for bypassing some signals or for bypassing some supply. Okay. Now here the capacitors are used for establishing strong electric field in a small space. So wherever there is a charge around the charged object, definitely electric field is created. So the capacitor is having both one positive charged plate and other negative charged plate. So it develops the electric field. Okay. So used to block direct current and allow the alternating signals as in electronic amplifiers, etc. Coupling between input and output. See, for electronic circuits, it needs only DC supply. It should not use AC supply. If you keep a capacitor in parallel to the supply, what happens? It allows AC supply to pass through the capacitor and reaches the ground, and DC supply, it blocks the DC, and that DC is used to operate the instruments. Because in case of DC, the frequency is 0. When frequency is 0, it acts like an open circuit. It acts like an open circuit. Okay. And to produce the electrical resonance in electronic oscillators, see, resonance XL is equal to XC. The resonant frequency is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC. Based on the capacitance value, the frequency also changes. Okay. And use it to reducing the voltage fluctuations in circuits as filters. And it used to provide the time delays. Okay. And first of all, as it leads the current, it is used to improve the power factor, because the power factor is nothing but is called R by Z, where Z is the combination of R and C. Okay. So if the capacitor value decreases, what happens? R by R will become 1. The power factor will improve. Okay. So it is used to improve the power factor in alternating circuits. Okay. So used as the accumulator of electricity in electrostatic machines and rectifiers. So the capacitors are used in fans in order to develop the starting torque. Okay, because as the single phase induction motors are not self-starting motors, we need help of the others to start the motor at the time of only starting. After that, it will run automatically. So in that, the such motors are also known as capacitor run start motor. Okay. So the capacitors are installed across many circuits and switching points to observe voltage fluctuations. Another application, the primary circuit of some electronic ignition modules, armature circuit of electric motors, the capacitors are used. So the flash attachment on a camera uses a capacitor. A battery is used to charge the capacitor. The energy stored in a capacitor is released when the button is pushed to take a picture. So when you press the button, the energy is released, which can be used as the flash. Okay. So in this way, the capacitors are used to dissipate electric energy to run a camera flash. Capacitor can provide energy to back up computer power supplies. And capacitor can block low frequency AC signals. See, low frequency AC signals means almost similar to that of the DC, and acts as power supply filters. So on the whole, what we mean to say is, the energy stored in the capacitor is used to run a camera flash, and it is used to provide backup energy in computers. And it's as when a frequency is low, it acts like open circuit. It is used to block the low frequency AC signals or DC signals. It allows only AC. And it is leading current. It is used to improve the power factor of the induction motors. are used to improve the power factor of inductive loads. So these are the applications of capacitors. Now, we have to calculate the total capacitance of a capacitors when the capacitors are connected in series. Capacitors are connected in series. Now, here see, three capacitors are connected in series, C1, C2, C3. When you can say they are connected in series, negative terminal of first capacitor is connected to positive terminal of next capacitor. If you connect in that manner, then the connection is said to be series connection. To this combination, we are applying a voltage of V volts. Okay. Now here see, C1, C2, C3 are the capacitances of three capacitors. And voltage applied across these three capacitors is V. V equal to voltage applied across these three capacitors. So the charge flowing through the capacitors is Q. Okay. And V1, V2, V3 are the voltages across the each capacitor C1, C2 and C3. C1, C2 and C3. Now we have to find out the total capacitance. So now see, when any components, either resistors or capacitors, when they are connected in series means the current passing through all the capacitors, the charge passing through all the capacitors is same. So capacitor, charge on capacitor C1 is Q, charge on capacitor C2 is also Q, and charge on capacitor C3 is also Q. And when capacitors are connected in series, the total voltage, applied voltage is equal to sum of the voltage drops across each capacitor. Sum of the voltage drops across each capacitor. So based on these two statements, we will derive the equivalent capacitance of three capacitors connected in series. So once again, what are those two statements? When capacitors are connected in series, first one, the charge passing through all capacitors is same. Q1 equal to, Q2 equal to, Q3 equal to Q. And the total voltage applied across the capacitors is equal to sum of the voltage drops across each capacitor. So V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Now V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. But we know the capacitance value can be calculated from Q is equal to C is equal to Q by V. C is equal to Q by V. In that V is equal to Q by C. V is equal to Q by C. So V1 is equal to Q1 by C1. But Q1 equal to Q. So V1 is equal to Q by C1. Similarly, V2 equal to Q2 by C2. But again Q2 is also equal to Q. So V2 is equal to Q by C2. Similarly, V3 is equal to Q3 by C3. But Q3 is also equal to Q. So again V3 is equal to Q by C3. See, substituting all these values in equation, V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. So V is equal to Q by C equivalent equal to Q by C1 plus Q by C2 plus Q by C3. If I taking Q common, 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So Q by C equivalent equal to Q into 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Q gets cancels. 1 by C equivalent equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. If instead of 3 capacitors, if n capacitors are connected in series, then it is equal to 1 by C equivalent equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 plus like that 1 by Cn. So this is the Equivalent capacitance when capacitors are connected in series. When capacitors are connected in series. So we have to know, remember the only two statements. When capacitors are connected in series, the charge accumulating on each plate of the capacitor is same and is equal to total charge. Q is equal to Q1 equal to Q2 equal to Q3. And voltage applied across the combination is equal to sum of the voltages across the each capacitor. V equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. So this is the capacitors connected in series. It is just reverse to that of the resistance. When resistors are connected in series, then the total resistance equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. But here, when capacitors are connected in series, the total capacitance is equal to 1 by C equivalent equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Now capacitors connected in parallel. Capacitors connected in parallel. So again C1, C2, C3 are capacitances of three capacitors. V1, V2, V3 are potential difference across three capacitors. And V is the total applied voltage. C is the combination of total capacitance. So the capacitors are connected in parallel. See these three capacitors. Now here what happens? When they are connected in parallel, the voltage across each capacitor is same and is equal to applied voltage. It means V equal to V1 equal to V2 equal to V3. V equal to V1 equal to V2 equal to V3. And when capacitors are connected in parallel, the total charge is equal to sum of the charges accumulated on each capacitor. See, the charge on capacitor is Q1, C1 is Q1, C2 is Q2, C3 is Q3. So total charge Q2 equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. But we know the equation Q is equal to CV. Q equal to CV. Okay. Q1 equal to C1 V1. Q2 equal to C2 V2. Q3 equal to C3 V3. So total Q is equal to C into Vt equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus C3 V3. But V1, V2, V3 are same, which is equal to total voltage V. So VV gets cancelled and total capacitance CT is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So that is why when capacitors are connected in series, 1 by C equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. And when they are connected in series, C is equal to C1 plus C2. Suppose instead of we are having three capacitors, if you take only two capacitors connected in series, then 1 by C is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. If you take LCM, 1 by C is equal to C2 plus C1 by C1 C2. So if you reciproc that value, C is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. So that is the equivalent capacitance when two capacitors connected in parallel, a series. So with this, I will stop this lesson topics. Once again we will revise what we discussed in this class. So the parallel plate capacitance is given by C is equal to epsilon naught epsilon r A by D, or it can also be expressed C is equal to Q by V, where Q is the charge accumulated on the capacitor and V is the voltage applied across the capacitor, and epsilon naught is the dielectric constant of the free space. Epsilon r is the dielectric constant of any dielectric material, and A is the cross sectional area of the plate, and small d is the distance between the plates. And we are having different types of capacitors, but basically based on their functioning, if you are able to change the value of a capacitor, then they are known as variable capacitors. If you are not able to change the value of the capacitor, if the capacitance of a capacitor is fixed, then such capacitors are known as fixed capacitors. And these fixed capacitors are also grouped into two different types: non-polarized capacitors and polarized capacitors. Non-polarized capacitors, they are not having any direction. If this is the capacitor with two terminals, we can use it this way or you can use this way. No specific plus and minus. Okay. Such capacitors are known as non-polarized capacitors. If the plus and minus terminals are specific, we cannot interchange. Such type of capacitors are known as polarized capacitors. In polarized capacitors, we are having electrolytic capacitors and supercapacitors. See, these electrolytic capacitors, generally the capacitor name is given based on the dielectric used inside the capacitor. If an electrolytic solution is used as the dielectric material, then such capacitors are known as electrolytic capacitors. Or if a double layered capacitor is used, supercapacitor, which is used to store higher amount of charge. These two comes under, these electrolytic capacitors and supercapacitors comes under polarized capacitors. And non-polarized capacitors, we are having different types: vacuum capacitors, air capacitors, glass capacitors, mica capacitors, ceramic capacitors, like this. Air, glass, mica, okay, all these, paper, ceramic, these comes under fixed capacitors. Okay. And aluminium electrolytic capacitor, tantalum electrolytic capacitor, and niobium electrolytic capacitor. So among all these capacitors, the supercapacitor having highest capacitance value. After supercapacitors, electrolytic capacitors are having highest capacitance value. After that, we are going for ceramic, mica, etc. all this. But the highest capacitance value is nothing but supercapacitors. Now all these capacitors, but where we are using the capacitors? In our daily life, tell me. We are using capacitors in fans. Then fan, we are having a single phase induction motor. It is not at all a self-starting motor. So to make it self-starting, we are using the capacitor. And if we are using a more amount of inductive loads, the power factor decreases. So reactive power increases. To improve the active power and decrease the reactive power, we are using capacitors at the receiving end of the supply. And we are using capacitors in electronic circuits to bypass some signal frequencies and to block the DC signal and to allow only AC signal. So in all these circuits, we are using capacitors. And as the capacitor uses stores charge, in camera to turn on the flashlight, we are using capacitors. When you switch the button, the energy stored in the capacitor is appeared as the light. Okay. So in all these circuits, filters, induction motors, single phase motors, we are using capacitors. And these capacitors can be connected in three different ways. Capacitors can be connected in series, and capacitors can be connected in parallel, or in series parallel also we can connect. But what is the total capacitance if capacitors are connected in series? So when capacitors are connected in series, The charge accumulated on each plate of the capacitor is same and is equal to total charge. That is Q is equal to Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q3. And total voltage is equal to sum of the voltages across each capacitor. So V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. And V is equal to Q by C. Substituting the value, Q by C is equal to Q by C1 plus Q by C2 plus Q by 3 C3. Take Q common and eliminate Q. 1 by C equivalent equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Or if the capacitors are connected in parallel, here the two statements, the voltage across each capacitor is same and is equal to applied voltage. But the charge passing through each capacitor is different, and the total charge is equal to sum of the charges accumulated on each capacitor. So Qt is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. So Q is equal to C into V. So Ct into V, because V is same, total V is equal to V1 is equal to V2 equal to V3. Ct into V1 is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus C3 V3, which can be written as Q2 into Ct is equal to Ct into V is equal to C1 V plus C2 V plus C3 V. Eliminating V on both sides, Ct is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. It means when capacitors are connected in series, the total capacitance is equal to nothing but sum of the capacitances of all capacitors. So as the capacitor is charging, accumulating the charge, definitely some energy is stored in the capacitor. So what is the energy stored in the capacitor and what are the problems on capacitors, that we'll discuss in the next class. Okay students, I will stop here and we will continue this lesson in the next lesson. Okay.